Hi, guys, and welcome to our Friday preview of our ACT questions of the day. This past week, we had 4 math questions. I'm super excited to be returning back to math this week. I feel like it's been so long. We've done a lot of science questions. But I am also pleased to announce that we will be adding English and reading. So next week, you will have a set of either English or reading questions. And make sure you're here on Friday so that Miss Tricia can go over those questions for you. So nevertheless, we're going to jump right in. In this first question, we have Barb is going to cover a rectangular area, 8 feet by 10 feet. And I'm just going to pause right there. Rectangular area means we do have a rectangle, and they gave us the dimensions here of 8 feet and 10 feet. So we'll continue on, just kind of noting those dimensions there, and ignore my sloppy handwriting. All right. So with rectangular paving blocks that are, catch this, 4 inches by 8 inches by 2 inches. So we have like a little, not a cube, but like a rectangular prism, if you will, of paving blocks. And these paving blocks are in inches. So that's already going to be a signal to you that you're going to have to do some sort of conversion. So we have 4 inches by 8 inches by 2 inches to make a flat patio. Our question is, what is the minimum number of paving blocks she will need if all of the paving blocks will face in the same direction? So that's good to know, because we have these blocks that's 3-dimensional, and they can fit in here. Just for illustration purposes, they could go this way, or you could have them that way, right? So you want to, or you could have them standing up this way. So you wanted to make sure that they're all the same way. Now, if we want the minimum amount, right? If we want the minimum amount, then that means we want them to face where they are going to take up the biggest space, right? We want the minimum amount of blocks. So that means we want the blocks to be all facing in the direction where they will take up the most amount of space. So think about this. We have a 4 by 8 by 2. Out of those 3 numbers, our 2 biggest numbers are going to be the 4 by 8. So that's what we want to have on top, 4 by 8. And so that area, you can go ahead and multiply that. That area is going to be 32 inches. I just multiplied the 4 times the 8. And that's how each paving block will fill in this rectangular space we got in here. Okay. So how will we figure this out then? We need to know the area inside of this whole rectangle, of course, in the same units. So we might want to go ahead and convert that to inches. And then we can divide it by the area of one paving block, and that'll tell us our minimum amount. So let's go ahead and do a conversion of 8 feet into inches, and that's multiplying by 12. All right, so that's that side in inches. And then you multiply it by the other side of 10 feet, and that also is going to be inches. So I'm doing it all in one shebang, so I can use my calculator to get the area in inches squared. I did 12 because you know there are 12 inches in 1 foot. So 8 times 12 times 10 times 12 gives us 11,520 square inches inside of that rectangular space. And then we can divide that by the 32 square inches that we got, and that'll tell us how many blocks we need. And that comes out to be 360. So the answer to that first question of the day is B, 360. Okay, hope that makes sense for you guys. let's move on to question 2. So as I was saying, we're moving on to question 2 now. Sorry for that interruption. I actually had a messenger just pop up right in the middle. So here we go. What is the slope of the line represented by the equation 6y minus 14x equals 5? So for a question like this, you're going to want to remember your slope-intercept form. You can go ahead and convert this over into slope-intercept form, and then you'll be able to just read off the slope of the line. And slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. You can just isolate that y. So we're going to move 14 over. That'd be a positive 14x plus 5. And then we're dividing by 6 everything. And so we end up with y equals 14 over 6x plus 5 over 6. And here is our slope. But you might be thinking, none of the answer choices match 14 over 6. And that's because you need to reduce it. And you could type these in and just see which ones a match. But dividing top and the bottom by 2 gives us 7/3 or h. Now that does require me to remember what I learned in my algebra class in order to work it out this way. If I had forgotten that, then maybe I would just graph this line, and I would probably graph it, I'm saying if you did not remember algebra class, right? Then how would I problem solve my way through this? I would probably do a X and Y chart, get me a few points, maybe 3 or 4. And what I mean by X and Y chart is you take any number you want for X, maybe like -1, 0, 1, 2, something like that. Plug those in to the equation for X and get your Y values for each of those, and then plot those 4 points. Plot those points in a little makeshift coordinate plane, and then you can physically count the slope possibly. That's one way you could do it if you did not remember the algebra. But I would strongly suggest you go back and review slope-intercept form because we see those questions quite often on the ACT. But that is question number 2. The answer is H. The slope is 7/3. Let's move on now to question number 3. Question 3 reads, let m and n be 2 positive integers. That lets me know right away that we have 2 whole numbers. I don't have to deal with negatives, and I don't have to deal with decimals and fractions. But m and n are 2 positive whole numbers such that m is less than n. Which of the following compound inequalities must be true? So when I see a question like this, where I have variables in the question, and then I have variables in the answer choices, that's a signal to me that I can pick the numbers myself, right? I don't want to deal with a math question that doesn't have numbers. I can take full control, full power, and choose the numbers that I want. I just need to make sure that I fit the conditions that they, provided for me. So 2 positive integers, whatever I want, and I'm going to do, let's say m is 2 and n is 3. Just real simple because those are positive and they're integers, and m is less than 3, right? 2 is less than 3. So that works. So now I can go through and use these 2 values, substitute them into my answer choices, and be able to find a correct answer. So you guys know I like to start with C when I am doing this kind of plug and chug strategy or picking numbers, and then go to B and D accordingly based on the results. So let's start with answer choice C. M would be 2. I'm just substituting in here. Less than, then I have the square root of 2 times 3, because m and n are right beside each other, less than 3. is this true? Is 2 less than the square root of 6, which is less than 3? Okay, so if you're unsure, what you can do is just type that in the calculator. Let's get a decimal number for the square root of 6, so we'll know, like, is this accurate or not? So the square root of 6 is 2.449, or on and on and on. Some, it's irrational, but that is between 2 and 3. So that's true. C looks good. Okay. I'm not going to just declare that as my answer yet, just because they said like it must be true. So I want to make sure some things are incorrect and I can eliminate, but that's looking really good so far that that's true. Let's look at B. So let me erase. Okay. Now B says 1 less than the square root of, and we still know that's 2 times 3, less than 2. 1 less than square root of 6 less than 2. Now, square root of 6 is 2.4 and change. So we know that's incorrect because 2.4 and change is bigger than 2. So B is wrong. Okay. D, just checking it, we have the square root of 2 less than the square root of 6 less than the square root of 3. Let's check this. So we know this one is 2.4. What's the square root of 3? When you do that in your calculator, you get 1.7, and that's already wrong. I'm not going to waste time figuring out square root of 2 because that's incorrect. Right? Okay, and then we're going to also try A and E. Okay, so for A, we have 0 is less than square root of 6, which is less than 2. We know this is wrong because this is 2.4 and it's bigger than 2. Okay, last one we are trying is E. So we have the square root of 2 minus 3 less than the square root of 6 less than the square root of 2 plus 3. So 2 minus 3 is a -1, and there is a problem right there because we are not going to be able to take the square root of a negative number and have a real value. So we can eliminate E, and the answer is indeed C. Okay. Now, if I was taking the test myself and I had gone through, especially just paying attention to my timing and pacing, if I had tried answer choice C and saw that I got a real value, I would go ahead and mark that as my answer choice and just keep going depending on how much time I have. But I wanted to show you guys, for the purposes of this explanation video in this training, to check those answer choices and just confirm that they were incorrect for you. But yes, the correct answer is C. Okay, so guys, just reminding you that we do this every week. On Friday, there is a solution training to the ACT questions of the day that have been posted in the group, free for you guys all week long. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you have access to real, retired, official ACT questions from previous ACT tests on official ACT test dates. Like, these are real questions that were a part of an ACT test before. So these are not similar questions. These are the real deal. You get access to them daily. And then on Friday, you get solutions from ACT certified educators. We're experts in the field, and we've been qualified by the ACT test makers themselves. So make sure you're here every Friday. We do all 4 subjects of the ACT. So with that being said, let's move on to the last question. 2 similar triangles have perimeters in the ratio 3 to 5. The sides of the smaller triangle measures 3 centimeters, 5 centimeters, and 7 centimeters respectively. What is the perimeter? I'm going off the room here. Let's see. What is the perimeter in centimeters of the larger triangle? Let's zoom in some. So once again, two similar triangles. So we know that they are proportional. One's smaller, one's bigger. And the ratio is 3 to 5. Then the sides of the smaller triangle are 3, 5, and 7. And let me just see, go off over here again. What is the perimeter in centimeters of the larger triangle? So perimeter is adding up all 3 sides. So what's the perimeter of the smaller triangle? That would be 3 plus 5 plus 7, which comes out to be 15. So the perimeter of the smaller triangle is 15. We will use the ratio here and set up a proportion. So 3 to 5, 15, and unknown. And then we will do our proportion. 3x is equal to 75. Divide both sides by 3, and then that's going to be 25 as the perimeter for the larger triangle. Okay. Thank you guys so much for being here for today's Preview Friday and the solutions to our questions from this past week. Hope you got a lot of value out of that and learned something. And if you would like some more practice, just want to announce to you that we have a full-length proctored complete ACT practice test tomorrow. That's June the 4th, starting at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 8:30 a.m. Central Time. If you would like to sign up for that, there's no cost. Just go to www.actprep.com/ACT-practice-test, and I will link that for you as well. But sign up for that. You can take that test completely proctored. It's an official test, just like the real thing. It is a retired test, so it is the real thing. We will score that for you and get those results to you right away. So sign up for that and join us tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. Central, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, so that you can get some more practice in. Looking forward to the actual ACT test date on June the 11th. Once again, guys, thank you so much. Join the group, and I will see you all next week.